Hi everybody, welcome to Paper Wishes Weekly Webisodes. I'm Lene Gehrig, and today from our friends at Hunkdory, we have got For the Love of Stamps and For the Love of Masks. And this collection, this is Paint Drop Posies, Peony Wishes, and this is Peony Wishes Backdrop, and then we've also got Geranium Bouquet with both the stamp set and the mask. What am I talking about with the mask? They make beautiful stamped cards like this where the background is masked, and that leaves you free to stamp on the same piece of paper, which makes it so much easier. I'm going to show you step by step how to do this. My friend Debbie made these cards and they are gorgeous. So come back and play with us. We're going to start with the Paint Drop Posies Peony Wishes in the background, because the one I just showed you in the opening is the messiest one, so we're going to save that one to the end. So look at this beautiful card that my friend Debbie made. It's gorgeous, and she told me how to do this step by step, so we're going to do this together. So what you want to start with is some white cardstock, and we love to use, this is Hunkdory's lightweight essential cardstock, and we call it Stampin' White cardstock on our website. It's great, comes in a great big block pad like this. It's a very nice weight and it colors beautifully. So the first thing you're gonna do is take this and use some low tack tape and just tape it down with some sort of covering. So I like to use, you could either use a glass mat, which Debbie likes to use, or you could just use a craft mat too. And so you want to tape that down. As you can see here, I have already done the masking, but I'm going to go through this step with you. You're going to place it right there, and the paper is just slightly larger, which is so nice because it gives you a little space to tape the paper first. So you're not, there's nothing worse than having some sort of stencil or mask and then you're getting it taped, and then you get some of that tape in your image, you know, like it stencils over the tape. So we're going to tape this paper down first, and then we're going to secure the stencil. Okay, so as you can plainly see, I've already done the stenciling part because this is a layering process and it's really cool, but I wanted to save a little time. All right, so that's going to go like that. So then Debbie used some blending brushes like this. We have a whole collection of them. So you could use either the large or the medium blending brush, and then also orange zest ink, okay? And then took that and went over the entire image with the polka dots, okay? And it's okay to go over this area. This is the mask. There's a little line that you can see right there. And that is just giving you, it's actually transferring the ink on that line. So it gives you a placement for your stamp. It's very nice. It won't show once you've stamped, but so that's what the first step is. And we're going to take this off, and we're going to remove those tapes for now. We'll use them again. All right, now we're going to bring in our stamping platform. So we've got our Misty, and we're going to place this right here. We're just going to secure that. Whoops. So the first thing we're going to do is add a couple of more layers here of this stamp, which is kind of a splatter mark right there. And Debbie put it right here and right here just to add a little extra color. So I'm going to go ahead and take that one. We're going to put it here. Now what's great is when this is all done, we're going to glue it to the surface of our blank card, which is wonderful because then there's a little flower on my card, because then you don't have anything seeping through your cardstock on your card, and it has a very nice finished look on the inside. Okay, so that's what's happening there. So it's going to be just a little bigger than your card. So we want to kind of have the placement here. I want to make sure I get it where Debbie's is placed, and then we're going to use a little, this is Camilla Pink. I'm going to do that. Right, stamp right there. Nice little splotchy. And then we're going to stamp right here too. And we could do more, but I'm just following what Debbie did. So if you like lots more splotchies, then definitely do that. All right. Get the ink off, and then our next step is we're going to take this beautiful stamp, the stamp of this peony, which I have right here, and then you're going to place that. You're going to align that. You see this outline? We can zoom in a little bit, Jeanette. See this little outline here that came through on that mask, on that stencil? That gives us our perfect alignment for placing our stamp. Just so nice. And it's just left this nice clear area. Okay. So it's free of anything else there, so we know where to stamp. And then Debbie colored her flowers in with Spectrum Noir Tri-Blend markers, which are alcohol-based. So if we're going to color with alcohol, we need to make sure that we're using a water-based ink to stamp with. So I'm going to find my water-based ink choices. Here we go. Now this one, which is by Spectrum Noir, this is Finesse, and this is alcohol-proof ink. Okay, so alcohol-proof meaning it's not going to blend with the alcohol markers and make a big muddy mess, so it's great to use. It's a water-based dye ink. So is Memento, okay, which is also great. It's just not labeled alcohol-proof. So either one of these work, and I'll list both of them down below in the products that we used, okay? So we're going to go ahead and ink our image, this nice outline. And this is a very large image, so we might have to ink it more than once. Make sure I covered everything. But that's what's great about the stamping platform. Oh yeah. I'm going to see if my Memento's a little juicier. This one I just unwrapped. Oh, I just dropped an ink pad and I'm going to need that. All right, so now I'm going to take this. And while that's sitting there, I'm going to try to reach and grab my ink pad. It fell on the ground. All right. Okay. Still needing help in the middle. All right, there we go. So there's our image, okay? So at this point, we're going to take this out. We're going to take this away because I'll be using that again. All right, there we go. So now Debbie did some coloring. I'm leaving room right here for that greeting right here. So for coloring for Spectrum Noir, she likes to outline a little bit with the darkest shade. If you've never used Tri-Blend markers, they're amazing. And what you're going to do is Debbie likes to outline the edge of each petal, and then all those little lines, those little kind of creases, like that. I'm not going to do the whole thing because we have a perfect example of this from what Debbie did. All right, now we're going to go down to the lightest color, and we're just going to color in each of the petals that have been outlined. And then I like to go through and use the middle or the mid color and just kind of go next to the, like the inside of each petal. Jeanette, did you just drop something too? We have the dropsies today. There we go. So that's a great way to color, and maybe we can zoom in on that. All right, and then she also used for her dark petals, this is Alpine Green Blend, and a yellow marker that she used, which I didn't bring with me. Anyway, the yellow marker is probably citrus yellow, but if not, it's listed down below in the supplies. I'll make sure that the marker is there. It just got away from me. So at this point, when you're all colored and everything, you're going to take your favorite adhesive, cover your card with adhesive, and then align that right there, turn it over, and then trim it even with the card. And then you're going to get beautiful placement right here. It looks like she even took that Camilla pink and just went around the edges of the card. Just like that. All right. So yeah, beautiful, beautiful card. Let's move on to another one here, which is, go. So this is the Geranium bouquet, which is beautiful. I'm going to show you two cards here Debbie did. This one where she used the mask right here, stripes, okay? And this one where she just used the stamp set only, okay? So I'm going to start with this one where she just used the stamp set, and then I'll move on to showing you how to do the mask. So for those of you who just want to use the stamp set, for this one, Debbie took her paper and she used the little splatter right there. And she used two shades. She used Damp Some Wine, which is this beautiful purple, and just repeatedly stamped this purple splatter all over her Stampin' White cardstock. Beautiful. And then she took Pine Tree Green and went over that again and just added some of the Pine Tree Green on there. Not a lot, okay? And then stamped the beautiful arrangement here. Beautiful. And then she used watercolor, like a watercolor brush here. And this one here is Midnight, which is, these are water reactive paint, water reactive ink pads that she's going to use as paints. And then beautiful Honey Pot, and then that same Pine Tree. All right, so let's take a look. First coloring those yellow flowers. Once she colored those, then she let those dry, and then she took some tiny scissors and just cut around this whole collection, cluster of flowers. Okay. And my guess is she went over this a couple of times after it dried. Get that really vivid yellow there. Maybe we can zoom in. Okay. And then in the center of her flower, I'll just flower off. Center of her flower, little bit of Pine Tree, and going out from the center there. Beautiful. And then these little blossoms are also Pine Tree. And then making those outer petals darker. And then the beautiful blue flowers. Usually I would clean this off in between. Go. Got our beautiful midnight blue flowers. And what's great about the water brush, if you're a beginner to watercolor painting, which I consider myself to be a beginner, then this is a great solution for you, and using ink pads are wonderful because ink pads are good for many different things. You can stamp a greeting, you can stamp a whole image, you can use them with a brush like this to make them into watercolors. You can mist them with a sprayer and get a totally different look. So they're a very nice investment if you kind of want to get into that watercolor mixed media look. So after that, she took her tiny scissors, and I should mention she colored in between the flowers with that Damp Some Wine watered down on her brush, colored that in, and then just took her scissors. And don't be intimidated by cutting out an image. You're just going like this. And you'll notice my scissors are staying in the same place. And then of course we just cut away that excess stuff. And we're just driving the paper with the scissors. And that's what Debbie did. So she got this beautiful focal, glued this on the card, okay? And I should mention she took this, glued this to her card front, then did her cutout and glued that to the card front, and then did her little greeting down here. Beautiful job. All right, so let's get on to this next card with this mask background, okay? So I kind of like clean up my area here a little bit. All right, so we have our mask and we have our pens. Got everything here. All right, so what Debbie did on her card, starting out once again with the Stampin' White cardstock, and we're going to tape that to our mat, you know, something you don't mind getting dirty. So it could be your glass mat, it could be this craft mat. You're going to tape that down. You're going to tape your stencil down over that, just like that. And then you're going to use a couple of these blender brushes, and you're going to use these colors in this order. All right, so we have got peacock green on the outside edge here, which then the next color we're going to use is Blue Lagoon. So we're going to move over into Blue Lagoon right in here. Then we're going to go to Nautical Blue, and then we're going to go to French Navy. Okay, and we're just going to blend as we go. So I used a different brush for each one, went down, then used another brush and went down until I had all the colors, and then I went back and just kind of blended in between them. That's the easiest way if you're new to blending, okay? Now, I'm not going to show you that blending technique because I wanted to show you how she applies that shiny, shiny background to these stripes, okay? So what she did was, at this point, you can heat this with a heat gun, you can let it sit overnight, but you want it to be pretty dry ink, okay? Because the next thing you're going to do is you're going to tape this down, align this again. But you could just leave your mask on there overnight if you'd like, because you want this to be really dry. And here's why. We're going to use clear translucent ink. We have a couple of different kinds. This is the Wow, and this is the Spectrum Noir watermark. Debbie used Wow, and you just take the surface of the ink pad, and we're going to do this. We're just going to put it right over that mask or that stencil, right over that. And the reason she waited to make sure that that ink was nice and dry is because that ink is not going to transfer when it's wet back onto your clear ink. Okay, so you just want it to be very dry. Like I said, if you have a heat gun, you could do that. Or you can let it sit overnight. Well, I guess you'd have to have a heat gun because the next step requires a heat gun. So if you don't have a heat gun, I would suggest you invest in one. It's great. I use mine for so many things. And they're not expensive, and they're just like a basic tool to have in your toolbox, I think. All right, so I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to do this top half. All right, so then we've got that covered. We're going to remove this mask. Ooh. And now we're going to take, this is clear embossing powder. We're going to take this and sprinkle it over the surface. Normally I would sprinkle it over the entire thing, but we're only going to do the top half. See that? It looks a little dusty. Right, and now we're going to try to get this all back in here. Usually I like to do it on a piece of paper and then try to dump it back in. Yeah, we'll just deal with that later. All right, so then I've got my heat gun ready to go. And I'm just going to let this run for a minute. I'll talk loudly so you can hear me. So we're going to let this run and get all heated up. And then we're going to heat this clear embossing powder, and it's going to melt, and it's going to give us this wonderful glossy sheen, okay? So let's zoom in on this. See, it's starting to melt. And basically embossing powder is just little pieces of plastic. This is little pieces of special clear plastic that when they melt at a high temperature, they then give you sort of an enamel look. Okay, I think we're going to stop right there. Okay. You see how it's got a sort of, it's kind of wet looking as opposed to before, not wet looking. Glossy and wet looking. Okay, so that's how that goes. Now we can take the image here, stamp, and we can just align this right here. We're going to get out our stamping platform again. Would actually normally align it when it's in the platform. So after everything's cooled down and dry, we've got this wonderful outline. Yeah, I love how shiny that is. All right, so let's go back to the card. And it's at this point, Debbie actually stamped her image again right here, and then used the stamps that are these like block kind of stamps right here, and she took those, this all in her Misty, and then what we're going to do is align these flowers. We have to just kind of turn them. Let's see. It's right. Like, there we go. Found the right direction. Just like that. So there's a little notch right here, and there's a notch right here. Align them. And then Debbie used both black currant jam and dusky pink to color both these flowers and these flowers. So let's just add, I think, some dusky pink kind of to the center of the first one. And then around the outside edges, some black currant jam. That. There we go. Probably needs another stamp to go over that, but at that point she would then cut that out, foam tape them to the center of her stamped image on the card, and then she added some beautiful jewels. This is mango and lime, and these are crystals, and she just glued those to the center of her flowers and among the leaves. Beautiful. Look at all that shine. It's so gorgeous. So you guys, we've got a fantastic money saver, oops, on these two stamp and mask sets. Find all my cards here. There we go. So yeah, I would definitely encourage you to check those out. The money saver is on the right-hand side of your screen, right over there. And if you're watching us on YouTube, just check the description box below the video, and you'll see a link that'll take you to our Paper Wishes webisode page, and you'll see the cards, you'll see all the supplies, of course the great money saver. And hey, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. It helps people find us. And subscribe. We do 4 to 5 videos a week, and we'd hate for you to miss a thing. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.